Hey guys, how are we? Well, beautiful day here in Pattaya in Thailand. A bit humid, but certainly nothing to complain about. Very, very nice weather indeed. So, my wife's back in town, picked her up from the airport the other day, which was great. Monday night. A few funny little things to give you a bit of an idea on how to get from Pattaya to Bangkok. So you can get a taxi here if you use Bolt, which is sort of the best app to use locally to get around. That'll cost you between 1,300 baht and say 1,500 baht. Some taxis will try and charge you, thousands, but it's really not worth it. That's probably going to be around $50 Australian, maybe about 35, 40 euro or US dollars. Or you can go to Jomtien. There's a bus station down in Jomtien, and for 143 baht, which is about $6, you can catch the coach up to Bangkok, and it'll take you straight to the airport. So that's a really good option. I think it's 300 baht to catch the bus or the coach back to Bangkok. So that's the option with that. Certainly very, very good options with the bus, but you can get a limousine, which I think is like a 7 Series BMW, and I think off the top of my head that's around 6,000 baht, so it's about $240. So yeah, if you're feeling fairly lavish and you don't mind spending the money. So lots of knockoff products like watches you can get, and sunglasses here, and yeah, so lots of different goods that you can buy for actually quite cheap. I did buy a pair of like knockoff Oakley sunglasses the other day for I think it was about 800 baht, if I'm not mistaken. So it's probably about $32 Australian. But actually very, very good glasses. The lenses on them are stunning. But anyway, looking at the US at the moment, crazy times. So it comes out that Bill Gates is behind the anti-inflation bill that was recently passed in the US. And, good old Bill rears his ugly head sort of every step of the way. And the anti-inflation bill, which I don't know, it sort of boggles the mind how you can add money to a monetary system and then that not to have an inflationary effect. I don't get that. But anyway, apparently Larry Summers and Bill Gates were the masterminds behind that particular bill. And I think it's a congressman, if I'm not mistaken, Mnuchin. Don't quote me on that, but anyway, he was sort of co-opted to sponsor the bill, and that's what was recently passed. So some strange things going on there really got me thinking. So think about this. Bill Gates, one of the richest guys in the world, he's buying up most of the farmland in the US. He's sponsored Gavi, which is the Vaccine Alliance, and been behind a lot of this COVID pandemic with the lockdown and shutdown of lots of economies around the world. So we've seen the global economy head into a recession in the last couple of months, although the US is sort of redefining what recession is, which is strange in itself. So he seems to be behind a lot of this. And then who knows what's happening with the food shortages. I'm sure there's a link somewhere in the chain that points to Bill Gates being involved in that as well. So, you know, it sort of takes me back to the era of the Dr. Evils, you know, the James Bond villains. And I remember being in or doing a seminar with some government reps from different countries, probably 2013. And they sort of said, what do you think the biggest risk is in the next, you know, little while, like in the next 10, 20 years? And I said, I think one of the biggest risks that you're going to face is the equivalent of the Bond villain Dr. Evils. And I think that started to prove true. The reason why I said that, and I still believe that to this day, is that, you know, some of these guys like Elon Musk or Bill Gates have a huge amount of wealth. They have more wealth than most nation states. When you put that into context, they have an unlimited amount of resources at their disposal, and they can pretty much do whatever they please. They can certainly create a cabal, and what I mean by a cabal is, though, a conspiracy. So that is people conspiring together to bring about a common purpose. And if you look at Rhodes, Cecil Rhodes, who is the funder of the Rhodes Scholars, and you look at Australian Prime Ministers, most of those guys have been Rhodes Scholars. And you start to see the pieces come together. So I think we're going to be in for some real strife unless the common man sort of stands up and says, you know, enough is enough. We're going to call these people to justice, and we're going to hold them accountable. And we know exactly what they've done. And you can see what they've done. It's fairly evident at this point in time. What Bill Gates and Larry Summers, and apparently Bill Gates has been pushing that since 2019. So, so very, very interesting to see these guys working together to bring about this sort of dystopian situation where the middle class in the US is absolutely being wiped out. You look on Zero Hedge today and they're talking about, you know, most major cities in the United States have got tent cities. So that's basically, you know, middle-class Americans who can no longer afford to live, pay the mortgage, who end up on the street. So they have massive tent cities in the US. I did see one footage of a tent city in San Francisco. Absolutely horrific. Goes on for kilometers. But these are people who are being disenfranchised, and they are basically losing everything. And as Gerard Celente says, when the common man loses everything, he loses it. And I think the US is being pushed towards a civil war. The other thing that's really quite interesting at the moment is you're seeing, I think since October last year, there's been over 400,000 illegal immigrants into the US. So they're basically replacing the populace in the United States, or they're trying to. And this is very reminiscent of what happened with the fall of Rome. They had the Goths come down from the north, and one historian basically said, look, when the Goths came in to take over Rome, they were a little bit unsure of themselves initially as they walked into Rome, because they could just walk in. There was no defenses at all. And once they realized that the Romans weren't going to fight back, they literally raped, pillaged, and plundered Rome. And that was the end of Rome. And I think we're seeing that at the moment with the United States. There's really no defenses of the United States against illegal immigrants. And you've got to remember, I'm not being racist or xenophobic, but people from South America typically are not very educated. They don't have any skills, and a lot of them have a lot of you know, situations that are undesirable. A lot of gang violence, and yeah, a lot of different situations going on with them. So it really is reminiscent of the fall of Rome. I think the US is finished, and I think it really is this cabal who are working actively to try and destroy the US. So I always think of that picture with Bill Gates, Larry Summers, and Epstein, and there's another fellow in there as well. And you've got to think, these guys are all working together. These are the movers and shakers. These are the elites in the US. But these guys are a private cabal working to overthrow the US as a preeminent superpower. Heading to Europe, my analysis with that at the moment is Ukraine is going to really blow up within the short period of time. And as much as it may have gone a little bit quiet at the moment, keep an eye on that, because I think Vladimir Putin just had a conference with Macron in France, and the biggest nuclear reactor in Europe, after being shelled by the Ukrainians, only has 2 of the 6 reactors still functioning. So I don't think the Russians want another nuclear catastrophe on their hands after Chernobyl. And I think what you're going to see before long, the Russians are probably going to go in there and sort things out once and for all. There's been kid gloves being used for the last little while by the Russians. As much as people say, oh, they're being beaten, they haven't put the real Russian forces in there to fight. So I would expect that you're going to see Russia really start to take control of Ukraine in the very, very near future. I think that's will be my estimation of what's happening there. So, look, not a good situation in Europe. They're facing massive problems with inflation because of what they've done with the euro, and you're going to see massive problems over there with energy shortages this winter. So keep that in mind. Now, these are some of the shops where you buy knockoff stuff. So most of it's just utter crap, to be honest. So you wouldn't waste your money. But yeah, so anyway, you've got different situations like, you know, this around here in Pattaya, different opportunities. Get your hair cut for 300 baht, which is like $12 Australian, probably 8 US. So a little bit cheaper. And someone did say the other day, I don't tell people how cheap it is in Thailand because they'll just start putting the prices up. And well, you know, they're going to put the prices up anyway, because the whole world's gone in through inflationary forces. So that's going to happen sooner rather than later. The other thing that I will say too is wait for China to open up again. So China's been in continual lockdowns because of COVID for the last, 2 years. Those lockdowns are getting worse and worse. And I did see footage of, what was it? IKEA, I think it was in Shanghai, being locked down the other day. And people literally running for their lives, quite literally. So I think this will be my estimation. If China opens up and allows their citizens to leave the country, you're going to see places like Thailand, Indonesia, Vanuatu, even Australia being completely and utterly overrun by Chinese trying to flee China, because they will not want to put up with that sort of tyranny. And no one wants to be locked up like that. So I have spoken to a couple of Chinese people here in Thailand who can't even get back into China. So they're still stuck here. So really interesting to see that happen at this point in time. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave that there. Thanks for watching. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the like and hit the subscribe button. That helps me out. And you can go to Overseas Exile on Facebook and join the discussion over there. And yeah. All right, guys, I'll chat with you soon.